If you want to talk about movie-related discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am The Wiz! And yes, this is my second singles outing since I started last week, and I'm here to review the 1988 film Cinema Paradiso, directed by Giuseppe Tornatore. I heard about this film, I would say around 2000, 2001. They were releasing a director's cut of this movie. And what I remember about reading about it was that this technically wasn't a director's cut. This cut was the original version of the movie that was released worldwide. But when Miramax got the rights to it for the United States, Harvey Weinstein cut this up into from a 3-hour movie to a 2-hour movie. Like a lot of things that have happened in film as well. I think this also is something that happened with Brazil. Brazil had a lot of issues where the studio cut up the entire film to a much shorter version and made something completely different. And it wasn't until Terry Gilliam decided to show off the version he had in mind that people started to want to see that version instead. This had that kind of feel to it, I guess. I've always wanted to see this film, but I've always had the mentality that if the director preferred a specific version, I was going to see that version first. And of course, that version of Cinema Paradiso is 3 hours long. And I always, when it came to like films of a long length, man, I often just put it to the side for something else. I'm going to be absolutely honest here. That's why it took so long for me to watch Gendarmen. I was looking forward to watching this, and I just felt that this was a good time to watch it. So here I am. And I did, and let me talk about my review of Cinema Paradiso, the 1988 film directed by Giuseppe Tornatore. Before I watch the film, I know that this film is beloved. It's got like an 8.5 on IMDb. It's one of the 200 best films from Letterboxd. People adore this movie. So when I started the film, immediately I was like, oh god, this feels corny. Oh no. Like I thought after watching it for like the first 15-20 minutes, I was like, oh, this is not looking good. But I gotta tell you, after I watched the film, this hit a strong note on me. I adored this film. Now, I watched the director's cut, which is the 3-hour version, and I want to say that this version has some issues that after I watched it, even though I really liked the film, I kind of wish I watched the theatrical version, and I'll say why that is. So let's get into the review of the movie. Let's get into performances first. I think the two best performances of the film are Felipe Noyet and Salvatore Cascoglio, who are the characters that play Alfredo and the very young Toto in the version, or Salvatore is his name, but he's called Toto throughout those scenes. The chemistry between these two actors are excellent, and Cascoglio is incredibly cute and lovable in this, and he's actually puts in a really good performance for an actor so young. I think he was like 7 or 8 when he did this movie. I'm not entirely sure, but he is adorable, and he's also really good in the role as well. Noyet is like the heart of the damn film. He's instantly affable and a character and performance that grounds the film in its best moments. It is probably one of the best performances I've seen in a film. Literally, he is the heart and soul of this film. Performance is excellent, and I really enjoyed watching him play as Alfredo in this version. It was so good. I could not believe how much I loved that character and loved his performance. Let's get into writing. Again, I watched the director's cut, and I gotta be honest, the film felt way too long. The beginning started off kind of slow, like I mentioned. It felt kind of corny, and it felt like I wasn't gonna be able to enjoy this throughout the film. But then when the friendship of Alfredo and Toto started blossoming, the absolute heart of the film was revealed, and it kept the film going throughout. Like, this friendship is the best part of this film, and it's really well done. Not only by the young actor who plays Toto in his youth, but when he's a teenager, the actor who played that as well. I don't have the name up there right now, but the teenage version also did a very good job. And then Noyet is perfect as Alfredo. He plays that character incredibly well. I mean, from that point until the end of the second act, it was heartfelt, funny, emotionally resonant, and a powerful film. I gotta tell you, I have a rule when it comes to rating something 5 stars. First time I watch a film, I do not rate it 5 stars. And I very rarely do it 4.5. But this was going to be the one movie I felt like I was saying to myself, oh my god, I'm probably going to have to break that rule. because this film is outstanding. I could not get enough of it, and I was really looking forward to seeing more how the third act turned out. But then the third act essentially, I think, ruined that chance of it being a 5-star film. Salvatore as an adult came off more odd than anything else, and the continuation of the plot with Elena seemed kind of forced, causing the film to drag in its final hours. And I'll get more into that in spoilers. Let's get into the direction. Direction was good, but for a film that is about the love of film, I find it kind of odd that they didn't do something different, or maybe did something that reminded you more of certain films. When it comes to like the feel of the film, there is some like slapstickiness, and there's some scenes where it kind of reminds me of older Italian films, but I was expecting a little more of an artistic licensing in this movie, and it just didn't really hit that note for me. I was expecting it to be more romantic feeling. It just kind of felt plain. It's not bad, but it's not what I was really expecting when it came to something that is about the pure love of film. I will say that the way that the film feels, the resonance, the tone is pitch perfect throughout most of the film. But when it came to the visual aesthetics of the film, kind of fell flat a little bit for me. But what I will say, though, is the music is outstanding. I love the music in this. All right, so I'm going to get the spoilers for Cinema Paradiso. If you have not seen it, you should stop here, come back when you're ready. We'll get the spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I'm going to go through the 3 acts, and I'm going to go into it in a little more detail. So the first act of Toro and Alfredo again started slow. But after the bike ride scene, it was pure movie magic that packs an emotional punch throughout. And what's odd is that in most movies, the scene where Toto saves Alfredo from the fire would garner more of like a chuckle and like me rolling my eyes throughout that scene. And let me just put it this way, okay? Toto is about 6 or 7 years old, and he drags a 50-year-old man, I would say, a 50-year-old man down a flight of stairs to save him from a fire. I know it sounds ridiculous, but the film does it really well, and it really tug at my heartstrings. I cannot believe I'm saying that. It sounds ridiculous, but it really was effective. I was so surprised by it. I still get emotional thinking about the damn scene. It's so good. I can't explain it, but oh man, that scene is really good. The second act, with the reveal of Alfredo's blindness and the romance between Toto and Elena, was especially well done. Alfredo was the emotional center of this act, while a good, if not standard, Romeo and Juliet love story played out throughout this part of the film. Now, the third act, while incredibly flawed, had the biggest gut punch of the film for me, and that's Alfredo's funeral. I gotta say, I bawled, man. I was crying. I had tears in my eyes, and I was an emotional wreck during this scene. And that really pointed out to me how great the performance of Felipe Noriate is in this movie. And I'm saying his name differently each time, I know. But of the person who played Alfredo in this film. It was such a great performance, so when he is gone and you're never going to see him again, oh man, it hits hard. It is such a well-done scene. Honestly, I felt when watching this that the film should have probably ended at that scene, and then the projection scene, which is the famous scene where the main character is watching a film that Alfredo cut of his. But I watched the director's cut, and that's not how it ended. There is a subplot that happens where Salvatore and Elena reconnect, and I think this was a bad idea. This part of the third act fell incredibly flat. I think it was not really well done. I don't think the performances were great either. The chemistry between the two actors who played the old Salvatore and Elena didn't feel right. I didn't really feel that emotional resonance between the two of them. And I also got to say that the person who plays the old Salvatore, it looks nothing like the other two. When you look at young Toto turning into young Salvatore, or into teenage Salvatore in the movie, you could tell that they look very similar, not only in like the face structure and the hair, but also the skin tone. Old Salvatore looks nothing like the other two. Like, nothing at all. That was weird on that end. And then the chemistry between the adult Elena and Salvatore just was not there, which made the scene of them reconnecting not feel so genuine. Like, it really slowed the film down. Yeah, I think this plot line should have been left out entirely. And next time I watch the film again, which I will definitely be watching this film again, I will more than likely watch the original theatrical cut, because something tells me I think I'm going to absolutely love that cut. Okay, so let me get to my final thoughts. Cinema Paradiso is a beautiful film that is both steeped in nostalgia and truism. The film has a clear love of cinema, and it's shown throughout, with its numerous slapstick sides and its expressionistic performances from all the ancillary staff in the film, giving it an old Hollywood feel on top of a classic Italian film feel. It feels like it's made from filmic pixie dust, and it's something I'd love to get high on. It is, I cannot get over this film makes me feel watching this. It was, it felt so good. That said, because I watched the director's cut, I saw the added stuff on the third act, and it brings the film way down. Also, I hate to say it, but the emotional heft of the film dissipated when Noriette was no longer in the film. Like, his Alfredo performance, I think, is the best thing about this film. It's outstanding. Yeah, I'm in utter love with Cinema Paradiso. I walked in thinking I would likely enjoy it, but possibly find parts of it corny and contrived. But I ended up being charmed by its spell and feeling emotional throughout the entire film. It's a cinematic triumph and one of the few films that deserves the praise that it has gotten for all these years. I am actually stunned how much I love this movie. Since I watched the director's cut of the film, I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 5, but I will bet when I watch this again in its original version, I could see this rating going up, possibly to a 5. I cannot express how good the movie is. And if I would suggest to you to see this movie, see the original US cut. Do not watch the director's cut. I kind of regret doing that now. And I think I saw the lesser film in this. But even though I saw the lesser version, I still think it's outstanding. And it's something that I think must be seen if you are a film buff and you love cinema. Honestly, even if you're not, I think you would really enjoy this. But this was a beautiful film, and I got emotional throughout. I love this film. 4 out of 5 stars for Cinema Paradiso, and this is the director's cut version I want to point out.